ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम परीक्षलोकान् कर्मचितान् ब्राह्मणः परीक्षलोकान् कर्मचितान् ब्राह्मणः निर्वेदमायात् नास्त्यकृतः कृतेन निर्वेदमायात् नास्त्यकृतः कृतेन तद्विज्ञानार्थं स गुरुमेवाभिगच्छेत् तद्विज्ञानार्थं स गुरुमेवाभिगच्छेत् समित्पाणिश्रोत्रियं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं समित्पाणिश्रोत्रियं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं परीक्षलोकान् कर्मचितान् ब्राह्मणो निर्वेदमायात् नास्त्यकृतः कृतेन तद्विज्ञानार्थं स गुरुमेवाभिगच्छेत् समित्पाणिश्रोत्रियं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं। Last time we saw what a student is to do. As we said, generally there is some urge, undefined, unclear with, not with clarity, an urge to gain moksha. If you are born in India, if born outside, there is some discomfort with myself. There is a sense everything is not okay, not well with me. If you're born and brought up in India, grown up in this culture, they say, want to become a sadhu, want to gain moksha. Nowadays, they say only becoming sadhu. Even moksha also hardly you will find. When this is the first quantum jump, what we call vairagya, which is nothing but fructification of grace, manifestation of grace, of so many birds of punya. In Kathopanishad, Shankaracharya ji writes Nadyaha pratisrotanam iva. There is a mantra, Paranchikhani Vyatranat Swayambhu Tasmat Parang Pashyati Nantarat. It's just natural to seek happiness outside me. It's just natural to restructure my possessions, my relations, myself to be happy. The self, which is physio-psycho complex. But to see that all this restructuring never can ever give me that what I am seeking. Never in my life there was one day, 24 hours, where I could see myself as a content being, just satisfied at home with myself. There was always something to reach, to change, something to restructure, something to modify in order to be happy. There was always a feeling I am unhappy because, and the blame is someone else. My unhappiness is caused by other than myself. There was always a feeling, the sense that I, feeling means I am talking of the centered on I, me, the person. Always, often brooding over the past. This was done wrong to me. This fellow has done injustice to me. And if you are married, there is a more feeling. Inside there is a lot of complaint, but at the same time, I don't want to give up the relationship also. I want to hold on. The dual feeling. To discover that all that I did, listen, this Vairagya, I would like to repeat this. Vairagya is not an action. Vairagya is understanding. Vairagya is maturation. Vairagya is growth. Vairagya is self-introspection caused certain appreciation of the fact. What is Vairagya? What I want and what I am doing has no connection. That's all Vairagya is. It may result in an action in terms of giving up the things. It may express in terms of redesigning one's own life. But the dispassion, nowhere in Shastra says this is where you need a proper teacher. Nowhere in Shastra it is mentioned that you run away. Viragaha iha mutrartha phala bhogeshu raga abhava. There is absence of wanting to be happy. I want to see myself as a complete being. I want to see that self-satisfied I. I want to discover that I who is happy with oneself. There have been always a feeling that I am not at home with myself. That never ever got resolved in spite of all possessions and all restructure. Without money also I felt that. Without possessions and objects and luxuries I felt that. As I mentioned, we grew up in dearth. To have 24 hours electricity was a luxury. Forget about a cycle. That was something that you get in university only. And that too of the older brother who had already graduated and is doing job. So they give you the cycle. Forget about the new one. Everything was scarce. You never had those luxuries what we have. And those times we thought if we have all this, if I enhance my buying power, I'll be the most happy person. At every stage of my economic growth, I did feel that I will be happy and felt that momentary happiness. But that didn't last long permanently. There was always the urge to have something more, like a typical Pepsi Cola advertisement. Ye dil mange more. Anything, dil mange more. Whether it is possessions or some pleasure or travel or relationship or even power. Therefore, these politicians, especially in India, are forcefully made to retire at the age of 80. Also, he aspires to be prime minister. And he can't even walk and can't even remember. Anyway, then ultimately party throws him out. There is always momentarily I had the feeling of being okay and satisfied, or a sense that I made it, a sense that yes, now I am successful. But that sense centered on I, that I am successful, didn't survive. To see this fact and thereby withdraw not literally, to see those pursuits as not the means for this. Please understand, it's even wrong to hate the world. Vairagya doesn't mean absence of raga, doesn't mean presence of dvesha. No, it is as it is. It is Ishvara's creation. Why should I hate? I had seen some Mahatmas talking, this stupid body, this idiotic world, run away, they advise them. It is not idiotic. If it is idiotic, then Bhagavan is number one idiot. Because he created it. He is the most intelligent person, and whatever he has created, it's an intelligent world, and it's purposefully created. It has its own purpose, but it cannot fulfill any purpose other than what it is designed for. As simple as that. If you have a two-wheeler scooter, typically Indian moped, it is designed for short travels. If you have a small car, it is designed for short travel in the city. That moped is not designed for long drive on the highways. It is not meant for it. Similarly, Vishayas are not meant for gaining permanent self-satisfaction, permanent self-contentment. I'm talking a very subtle thing. Just think over. Commonly it is said in India, Kanchan and Kamini, away, keep away. No, why should you? Money itself is not bad. In fact, it is mithya. The tender of 1,000 or 500 rupees or 2,000 rupees is a mutual understanding. Piece of paper, all of us, as per the government order, agreed that this is buying power worth this much money. That's okay. It can buy the things, nothing more than that. And there are stories floating in the society. I really, Puja Swamiji very nicely says, I wonder whether they are glorifying Guru or, or insulting the Guru. They said, our Guruji never kept any money and never touched money. He was then. See, we buy all these statements. We just don't think. We, especially Indians, buy this and they say, oh, he doesn't keep money, therefore must be great virakta. It doesn't make you virakta unless something changes here. So what's wrong in money? You need to travel, you need to buy the things, have it. And there's a story, Guruji never touched money and his Shishya wanted to test Guru. And then one day he used to prepare the bed for the Guru and he put a 1 rupee coin under the bed, under the bed sheet. And Guruji came to bed at night and he jumped like an electric shock because he said, there is something inside. Why should you jump? If you jump, that means that rupee is more powerful than you. Why should you jump? And why are you afraid of it? Let it be there. It's an innocent thing. It can buy the things, but there is a statement, money can buy the book, but it cannot buy the knowledge. Money can buy a musician, but it cannot buy a joy of music that you can have. Money can buy a house, an apartment, but it cannot buy a home. Similarly, money can buy the things, it can never ever buy you happiness. It can never ever buy you sense of satisfaction permanently. That's all you understand. It's cognitive. And it's an innocent thing. And not only innocent, since it is Ishvara's creation, why should you have dvesha for anything? It is good to fence a tree when the sapling when it is planted till it grows and becomes strong within. So it is good to keep away for some time. But just by keeping away, you don't become virakta. Just by keeping away, you don't become great. The people say, we don't look at women. Nonsense. What is wrong there? Woman is an expression of divinity. There is no physical difference between the body of a woman and your wife and your sister. The difference is idiot in your mind. One you look at with divinity and auspiciousness, and one you can look at the source of happiness. That is your problem, not women's problem. And we don't look at it and we are virakta. This is all useless. This is all, it's good to sell and good for Indians that they will buy. And by you don't become holier than thou by not looking at them and not touching at them and not talking to them. We don't look. You should ask those divorced fellows. You should ask those partners who have separated in a business. They don't meet each other, but a lot of things are going on here. Though there is a divorce on paper, the divorce here has not taken place. You have to grow. That growth having taken place, this first is a quantum jump, that just a grace, that maturity. You'll be cool as cucumber. What's a big thing about it? So inside, unaffected, use the things to travel or whatever you have to buy in this time, then fine, nothing wrong in it. Second jump is clarity about moksha, which most of them don't have. So-called spiritual seekers, even so-called student of Vedanta, Upanishad, Gita also don't have. This is where the Maya comes in. Mama Maya Duratyaya, this is what it is. That generally, that being the case, anything which is not ordinary becomes a means for moksha. The fellow buys, he or she is so gullible, anything uncommon when told, you think this is moksha. He or she thinks, this gives me moksha. And as I said last time, there is a whole Walmart of moksha counters. Beginning from some seva and puja and chadi and daja and meditation and thoughtlessness and all kinds of lambo jumbo, they are talking, I would say, blabbering. As we saw in the previous mantra, andhe naiva niyamana yathanda, the blind leading the blinds. They don't know. I repeat, by any restructuring or any doing, one cannot gain moksha. What is moksha? To discover fullness, that is I, Purnatvam. If there is, listen this, if there is something fullness, it can never ever be created. It has to be ease. You cannot create infinity. Simple mathematics of 8th, 9th grade. You cannot create infinity by any mathematical process. Our Shastra, Shankaracharya ji writes in this Mantra Bhashya, what you can achieve by doing is only 4 types of results. Only 4 types of things, all that you achieve can be classified in 4 groups. Nothing more than that. And all that you have achieved so far in your life is in these 4 categories. Nothing more than that. What is it? Apyam, Utpadyam, Samskaryam, Vikari. Karmana, through actions, whether physical, sensual action with eyes and ears and all, that includes mental action also. None of them, all of them can produce whatever you gain out of this will fall in this 4 category. Apyam, that which is gained as an end of my effort, like traveling from one place to another place. Or you gain something from your parents. There are children and the parent writes the will and you gain because he is the best son of mine, the best daughter of mine. I want to give him. That is apyam. You can do utpadya, means make or produce. And anything that is produced, please understand, is just collapsing the possibilities. Any research is nothing but collapsing the possibilities. It is latent. It is potently there. It's just manifestation. And through different combinations, every medicine is like that. Apyam, Utpadyam, Samskaryam. Samskaryam means purifying the thing, cleansing or removing the blemish or the dirt from the thing. Like our RO plants or our samskaras we get it, or taking a shower is also samskaryam. And vikaryam means modification. Simple traditional example is milk getting converted into curd. It's a vikara. Chemical things, all chemical vikaras. These are all vikaras. That's all you can produce. And listen. The problem is you. Nothing else. The sense that I am small, the sense that I am limited, the sense that I am dukhi, the dukhi sense is centered on I. I am limited, limitations are centered on I. That I is a problem. World is a problem because it brings out that sense in me. It becomes a mirror to manifest a dissatisfied, discontent, unhappy self, and therefore I don't want that. Like those convex and concave mirrors in the childhood we used to see in those gardens, Kakaria. They show you some very, very curvy figure of yourself, because they are convex, concave, partly concave, partly convex, etc. I don't like to see myself like that. And therefore, I don't like that mirror. So, that being the case, that limitlessness being something that I want is I, is not something to be gained. Whether you say this is all non-thinking logic, people take it. That you in meditation, you will see the self. Listen, the whole problem is very different. There are 2 things which becomes necessary. Having had a life of sannyasa or a life of virakta, one thing, what is the need for sannyasa lifestyle? What is the need for guru? And what is a need for Shraddha? That is second line. Tad vijnanartham sa gurumeva vigachet samit panihi shrotriyam brahmanishtam. That quantum jump, second jump, is to discover that I have not to gain or lose something, I have to know myself. Atma praptihi is moksha. And when I say Atma prapti, the simple translation of Atma is I. I have to gain myself. Then the question comes, that means the object to be gained is I. Then who is the subject? I is a subject. Very peculiar thing. And how can the subject and object be the same? It can never ever be the same. The thing is, problem is of self-ignorance. One. Ignorance can never ever go unless you have a proper and adequate means of knowledge. Last time I have explained. An ignorance about form, an ignorance about color, the proper means are simple pair of eyes. Ears, skin, tongue, nothing can remove the ignorance about the form, only the eyes. Similarly, when there is an adequate eyes, if I am a short-sighted or long-sighted, and if the object is somewhere else, near or too near, I need glasses. So a proper and adequate means of knowledge. And here the means is Shastra. The very definition of Vedanta. People often say, okay, we study Vedanta. We don't know what is Vedanta. Vedanto nama Upanishad Pramanam. Vedanta is called as Upanishad as well. And Upanishad is Pramanam. Pramanam means means of knowledge. If it is a means of knowledge, when you operate this means of knowledge, you need to have proper attitude. Listen this carefully. What all you have heard is different and what I am talking is different. That attitude towards the means of knowledge is called Shraddha. This is another one of the most misunderstood word in our culture or in the field of spirituality. When you operate a means of knowledge, you have to have Shraddha. What is Shraddha? Understand. Simple translation means surrender to the means of knowledge. Shraddha means Sharanagati. What kind of Sharanagati? Look at this. Now just look at your screen and look at me here on the screen. Okay? If I ask you, some of you are still writing, finish, I'll wait for you. If I ask you, what is the color of an object which I am holding in my hand? All of you will say it is white, correct? Just shake the head. You may not speak it, and even if you speak, I will not hear it. Your volume is muted. If I ask you, you will say this is white. And if I say, what is it? That is a problem. Adequate. You don't have adequate means. It may be a piece of cloth or it may be a paper. I'll tell you what, because it's distant learning. I'll tell you it's a tissue paper. Okay? Now what are you telling? Listen, now let us go step by step. When I say what is in my hand, You say, Swamiji, in your hand, it is a tissue paper of white color. Correct? Yes? Shake the head. Yes. Suppose I say, since you are at a distance, so I have to say, suppose I say to you, this is not white, this is blue. Do you see it as a blue? Do you see it as a blue? Those who are my real shishyas will see it's a blue. Or if I say, why don't you see the blue? And if you're sitting with your spouse or somebody, you may look at the person. Swamiji has gone somewhere. Swamiji was talking some sense all these years. Today, what has happened? Corona has impacted him also. This Corona times, people have so much of anger and workaholics and anger. It all really, it has impacted the physically. One who got affected by Corona may suffer for some time and may become all right. But then the psychological impact and the strain in relationship and people's approach will is going to hold on. I mean, going to last for at least a decade. To me, it looks like that. And when this Corona was going on, they were locked down and all business were shut and all that. Only two fellows were happy about it. You know, the beneficiary of the Corona, when slowly this lifted, the curbs were lifted and then free market was available. The people who earned the most was the divorce lawyers, because psychological problems, it was so much. It is there. So you may think that Swami has some psychological problem. Just now he was telling it is white and we see it is white. And how come it is blue? Now go one step. Suppose, hypothetically, Bhagavan Shri Krishna comes here right now. I call him and he respects my words or obliges me with typical Pitambar, Mugudra, Neela Varna, etc., all real Krishna. And I say, look, you're not believing me. Therefore, I am bringing Krishna as my witness. Here is Lord Krishna. And he appears beside me. And I say, oh Bhagavan, tell this, which is blue or white? And that Krishna says, it is blue. I tell you, what you will think? You will doubt Krishna. It looks like a made-up Krishna, make-up Krishna, not original. Even a step further, original Krishna appears in your home with flute and all, enchanting Vinaka smile, which enchanted all the gopis, and he comes there and says, look, Swami was right, I have brought that for you. And the same thing he brings it and says, this is blue. You may oblige Krishna by conceding, yes, it is blue. Inside, you see it is white. Correct? Yes or no? So when I say it is blue, whom do you surrender? You surrender to Swami or you surrender to your eyes? Understand what is Shraddha? Eyes are the pramanam. Swami is not pramanam. Even Sri Krishna is not pramanam. You may oblige him, either out of love or out of fear. If I don't say, he may give me curse. You may say so. But your buddhi surrenders to what? Eyes. This is Shraddha. What I say is Satyam. Pramana Vyapara requires Shraddha. That means what Pramana reveals is Satyam. Shraddha is, if Shastra is a Pramanam for self-knowledge, then whatever Shastra says is Satyam. Guru, therefore there is another definition. Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu Satya Buddhyavadharana. It is Satyam. Shastra being Satyam, my buddhi says something, it is not Satyam. Still I trust Shastra. What? Shraddha gives a booster to move further. Very beautifully expressed by Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Pramane Shraddha. In the 4th chapter, Bhagavan says, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan ahamabhyam vivasvan manave praha manurikshvakave bravid, etc. He says, hey Arjuna, what I taught you up to 3rd chapter, I had taught to Vivasvan, Surya, and he taught to Manu, etc. In the beginning I had told. And that yoga I am telling you today to you, because you are my devotee and you are my friend. Bhakto sime sakha cheti rahasyam etaduttama. I am telling you this truth. Look at Arjuna's question. How he frames his words. When you speak the words and how you frame and make a sentence, it reveals your attitude behind it. So far, till Mahabharata war started, he sought this, he came to the battle of Mahabharata, Krishna was just a brother-in-law. Brother and brother-in-law and friend, as they call it in English, friend, philosopher and guide. Yeah, he played with him from childhood. In the 11th chapter, he apologizes when he sees that big cosmic form. Oh my God, I never knew that you are this. Pardon me, I have insulted you many times. Ahara vihara shayyasana bhojana is my bap avanota manyatam. He really sought the pardon. But the point is, still then he just is my brother-in-law, maybe having some extra power, more wisdom than that. He never, so far Lord Krishna never revealed his Aishwaryam. And when you are contemporary to a great person, people tend to not to recognize the greatness of the person. You take the things for granted. He could have said, come on, Krishna, don't fool me. Come on. Typical American. Hey, come on. How can you tell this? You are just born on Gokulashtami. You grew up in this Vrindavan, playing flutes and gopis and ras and all that. You might have killed some demon. But how can you say to this Surya and all Manu that you claim? It's a too tall a claim. Come on. Let's be factual. No. What he says? Aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvata. Your birth is later. You are contemporary to me. You are recently within last 70, 100 years. Param janma vivasvata. Sun was there at the beginning of the creation. That is fine. That is his buddhi telling. He is understanding, yes, this is recent and that was much far ahead. Second line shows that he looked upon him as a pramana. That is a surrender. He didn't say, how can I believe that you are wrong? Come on. No. Kathame tad vijaniyam tamadav proktavaniti. How can I understand? How can I see this fact? You only told in the beginning, please explain. Apparently, there is a contradiction. Unbelievable contradiction. And I don't believe in it also. But then, since you have said it must be true, please explain how it is true. Understand? Surrender doesn't mean you become a non-thinking fellow. Keep the buddhi open. Surrender of my conviction, my prejudices, my notions, that's all. And not even surrender, I keep them aside. And I'm open for an inquiry. Objective inquiry. I don't approach you with a background. I don't approach you with an unknown, unmanifest loads of my notions and prejudices, etc. Whatever I think, you must be true. How can I see the truth of your statement? Understand Shraddha? Shraddha is not emotional. It's a cognitive quality of buddhi. A thinking buddhi. There are two other words, andhashraddha and ashraddha. As they say, blind faith. Blind faith devotees are very dangerous. Whatever Guru says is I accept. They are non-thinking fellows. Andhashraddhalus are non-thinking. Ashraddhalus are closed thinking fellows, blocked mind. It is the greatest asset of a human being to have an open thinking, objective mind. And it is the greatest calamity of a human being when one loses the openness, one loses the objectivity, and the worst thing to happen is one gives up or surrenders his thinking capacity. Thinking is not given for surrendering and stopping it. Bhagavan has given it, use it. Only thing is your creation, is your notions, your prejudices, your misunderstanding. That alone is to be surrendered. Nothing that created Bhagavan, you cannot surrender that because it doesn't belong to you. What belongs to you only has to be surrendered. What belongs to me is my notions, my prejudices, my convictions, my ideas, my views. It is mine. It is subjective. Subjective thing is to be surrendered because it is mine. If it belongs to someone else, how can I surrender? Worst calamity. People surrender anything thinking they become so dumb. And being so dumb, they are gullible. And therefore, gurus, there was one in Oregon who aspired for 365 Rolls Royce. Nonsense. And when he was arrested, he had 98 Rolls Royce. That too, he moved around in his particular village. What for you require Rolls Royce? And that too, 98. Non-thinking. I just keep aside my prejudices, my convictions, my notions. And I'm willing to think objectively. And I see you as a pramanam, therefore you must be right. Shraddha, listen the sentence. Shraddha helps you to discover or convert this statement Guru must be right into Guru is right. That is, then it becomes my conviction. Therefore, this is my definition, may be wrong. Shraddha is intellectual honesty. In the process of learning, if I see the fallacy in my convictions, if I see something wrong in my conviction, I have a strength to drop and accept the new fact that I discovered. That is honesty. Second part of Shraddha. There is one thing to have prejudices and certain convictions and ideas. When it glues with ego, people are not willing to give up. Therefore, I find in the discussion also, people say, yeah, I know you are right, but why but? And then they have to put the argument. That is ego talking. It is glued with your convictions or prejudices, whatever it was. Openness to inquire objectively and the self-courage to drop my views in the light of new discovery. That is always there with pramana. Those who have glasses would have known that. Then you don't have glass, you have short-sighted or long-sighted, whatever it is. When you go to ophthalmo, they either give you to read or they want you to see. And typically you say, it is, these are all Russian and Czechoslovakian names, ZQTP or something. I don't know who discovered that. But it must have, I think that ophthalmos glass must have come from Russia or Czechoslovakia. Because their names, alphabets are also like that. Sometimes when you go to Russia, you don't know whether to spell T here or not. I had been for a short visit for 4-5 days and yet had a problem. I had to write down. And that time mobile, thank God I had a mobile. So I used to take a picture, write and spell it out in Gujarati, because you go for formal conference and you speak that name wrongly, they will get offended. So I used to make an excuse. Sir, let us save the contact, and then let us have a picture. And I light the knife, and when he goes away, I'll speak it out in the phone speaker. Zach names and Russian, Zach names in the Russian, difficult to announce. Anyway, that you see B or D, looks like B or D, and the doctor gives a temporary glasses. This is all over the world. I have seen this blunder done by doctors. There is a typical frame without a glass. They put the glass. It is B. Then he said, read the next line, which is still smaller. Then again you get confused. Then he says, it is Q, not B. All 5 lines, you read it. This is okay? Yes, you say okay. And then he comes out and changes and puts another one. This is okay? You say, yes, this is okay. And then they say, which one is better, previous or this? But and invariably, I have often held it. I have seen ophthalmo in Canada, in US, in Japan, some of the devotees. Then you say, when you gave me the first and put the second, you should have told them in the beginning that I'm going to give a trial for the second one and I will ask for a comparison. They never tell. And then when they put the second, you say, which one? This is better or that one is better? Then you think, let me have the second time then. So they again put the previous one. And by the time you settle for one, then they change the axis. And then again ask the same thing. All over the world. Ophthalmologists don't do this properly. Anyway, coming back to this, that B or D, because of lack of adequacy of pramanam, you couldn't see. When adequate was given, previously you thought it to be Q, and there was some notion, some block that no, I should not get more numbers. So you say it is, I can read it. No, doctor, I can read it, doctor, I can read it. This is all right. But doctor hears it as P, knows it is Q. He says, let me give you some higher number. No, I don't need it. I can read it. I can read it. That fellow says. And still he pushes for that and gives the new numbers, which is higher than the previous. This fellow has a notion that or some blockage that I should not get higher numbers because thick glasses and my appearance may change, whatever may be the problem. Complex, that is the separate thing. But when he shows the right glasses and the eyes see now, it is not P but Q. Do you ever hold on? No, it is Q or it is P. You just said it. You just give it. You just drop it. In spite of that complex and blockage in the mind that I shouldn't have the new numbers. Drop. That is called Shraddha, surrendering to Pramana. Unless you see, that is a Pramana Buddhi. That surrender is natural in operation of any means of knowledge. Suppose two persons have an argument and one person said something and another person heard it. After some time he said, you told me this. That fellow said, I never said you. He said, you did tell me. That's a slang language. You shouldn't tell me, I've heard, blah, blah, blah. You surrender to ears and then they say this. I can't believe that you can tell me this. But still, you can't believe it. I have such a thick and thin relation with I trusted this fellow for so much. And I never expected this person to tell like this. And when you hear with your ears, even if you don't believe, you say, I don't believe this. I don't know how, I can't believe that you can think like that and you can say to me like that. But still, you drop that belief, you drop the feeling and accept what is heard. In other words, lack of resistance. An attitude of resistance to Shastra and teacher is certain lack of Shraddha. It must be true. And I have to discover the truth of this. If you just say it must be true and forget it, that is Andhashraddha. But if it must be true and I have to see it as a truth, I have to discover the truth of the statement, that is Shraddha. And that is why in our culture, student has a fundamental right to question to a teacher. If it's a faith-based religion, you cannot question. However illogical and stupid it is, just because you are not faithful to that religion, to my religion, I get a license to kill you. That is all nonsense. This is all desert religions. But then you can't question that. Anybody question is that, it becomes a blasphemy. No. In our culture, question is encouraged. Isn't this the greatness of Hindu culture, Hindu tradition? Even when Bhagavan himself, Lord Krishna himself, assumed or accepted the role of a teacher guru, he never ordered. He kept on answering the doubts and the questions of Arjuna. Ordering gurus are dangerous. That is typical Indian problem. At home also. To children, they grow up, They say something, and then when they don't have answer, they say, I told you, maine kaha na, chalo. But that's all. When you don't have logic, when you don't have proper clarity, you use your authority. That is the Indian thing. Krishna could have used and see it. See, this is where we don't see in between the lines. 11th chapter. Some of you have studied Gita, so I am enumerating. Krishna showed the cosmic form. First time in the life of Arjuna, he saw something called fear. Arjuna never knew what is fear. He fought with Shiva also, Bhagavan Shiva. He's a balanced, fearless person. First time, he was frightened and trembled. No sooner 11th chapter got over, 12th chapter begins with question. Arjuna Uvacha. He didn't get frightened in asking Krishna. And nor Krishna said, like typical parents trying to frighten the baby. Should I call a cat? Meow. Come on, cat has come. It will drink your milk. And they force the baby to drink milk. Krishna did, should I show you my cosmic form? Do as I said. No way. He answered. Patiently. And that will come in the next mantra. Tasmai savidvan upasannaya samyak prashanti chittaya samanvitaya provacha brahma vidyam tattva, etc. I will see the next mantra tomorrow. But that is necessary when you to look at Shastra as pramanam. That implies Shraddha. Now the question may come, why do I need Guru? I know Sanskrit. So many translations are available. So many commentaries are available. So many people, lectures are available on YouTube. Why do I need a teacher? And that too, there is a two adjective to teacher also. Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. There again, the problem is of self-ignorance, but self-ignorance is of a different nature. When you are ignorant of something, you say you don't know. There is non-comprehension of a thing. There is appreciation. You just don't know what it is. I don't know. That's a typical American. You just, without speaking, raise your shoulder. There are a lot of body language, they communicate so many things. So you just say that, I don't know. I don't know Russian language. I don't know this Java software, programming, I don't know. Similarly, it is not simple, I don't know Atma. Avidya Janya. Ignorance caused, there is erroneous identity. Not only I don't know what it is, I have taken what it is not to be what it is. Exactly like our traditional example of Rajju Sarpa. I don't know that there is a rope or what it is. What it is, I don't know. But then I construe that it is a snake. I don't know I am Satchidananda. But just the opposite conclusion about myself. I am Martyaha, subject to death. I am Achit, ignorant fellow. And I can be Satchit, but Swamiji, certainly I am not Ananda. the self-identity is taken to be different, and there are so many complexes about the self. So one has to knock off those complexes and then create a context and see the words. Just now I talked to you about Shraddha. Earlier in Gujarati class, I have talked about this Panchakosha. The Shastra words don't communicate in a direct meaning. You have to see the implied meaning in the context. Like this moksha, Lord is floating, very popular floating belief is there today that be witness, Sakshi Bhav mein sthit ho jao. And they run the camps for 1 week, 10 days. Sakshi Bhav, Sakshi Bhav. That's fine. I'm not against them. But that's incomplete. Atma is Sakshi. No, that is Adhyaropa Apvada. We have seen this in Panchadashi. Those of you are attending. This is a temporary identity. To knock off that identity that I am this. I am not even Sakshi. Popular belief, witness, 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 they keep telling. When you say I am witness, self is witness, then the question comes, what is witnessed? Sakshyam. When you assume a status of being witness, there is something that you witness. There is an object of witnessing. And that object has to be different from the very subject. That means there is a duality. And that being a Sakshi confined to this body, I am a small little Sakshi. I cannot be Purna. The knowledge is, in spite of, listen this sentence, in spite of being Sakshi, Sakshyam is non-separate from me. The witnessed is not separate from me. And when I say I am Sakshi, I am separate from it. Both things are there. This is Rishi mathematics. And that is the complete knowledge. The knowledge is that little fellow, that jiva, small being. I am nobody. You should see when they approach to ministers, sir, I am this. When they want some favor, they seek something, and I am nobody. That idiot nobody is Jagat Karanam Brahma. You are the cause of entire universe. That's a complete. Though the self is self-revealing, but teacher has to build up the context and reveal so that student has no choice but to see this fact. And that is why you require a teacher who can handle the words of Shastra, who knows what exact meaning of this word is, and who knows the knock to knock off the possible misconceptions caused by teacher or the misconceptions carried by the student. That is the job of a teacher. And that you learn from another, that teacher learned from his teacher. That teacher learned from his teacher, ultimately from Narayana. Therefore, in our Guru Shishya Parampara, we say, Narayanam Padma Bhavam Vasishtam Shaktim Chadat Putra Parasaram. Or Shankaram Shankaracharya, Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. I salute to all Guru Paramparas, beginning from Shiva or beginning from Narayana, whatever may be. So the teaching methodology, surrendering to a teacher, the one who knows how to teach. That is Shrotriyam. Methodology of communication. And Brahmanishta means one who is committed to Brahman, who has owned up as I, the very subject matter of his or her teaching. Me, I am talking about myself. One who can see this fact while teaching to a student is Brahmanishta. Shrotriyam Brahmanishta. There can be a Brahmanishta guru not knowing the methodology of teaching. They will confuse further. Already confused, samsari, worldly, the fellow will be spiritually confused. Confusions will be confounded. And another fellow, if alone Shrotriyam, knows the meanings and the words, that authenticity of self-unfoldment missing, he will fail to make the student see the truth of identity between oneself and the Brahman. Both Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam Gurum Eva Gachet. This is Adesh of a Shruti. It is for knowing, because therefore Guru also becomes Pramana. Shruti is Pramana. The definition of Shraddha is Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu Astikya Buddhi Shraddha. Guru, which Guru? Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. And how one should approach Samit Pani. Take the woods, twigs, not exactly woods, twigs of peepal tree and tie it and make it a roll. And with the hand, in your palms, you carry those twigs, roll one and offer to the Guru. It's symbolic of readiness to serve, readiness to learn. Expression. Those days, Gurus had to have fire, so you carry the twigs. Nowadays, don't come to with the twigs, okay? Come with the check or cash, okay? That's a joke, okay? You don't need you are not carrying it for Guru. It's an expression to serve. Service to the Guru means readiness to change. Any person whom you serve, you can serve somebody provided you are willing to give up your likes and dislikes and do what that fellow likes. That's not seva. Sometimes it happens, when there is a what they call it, when I go for some place for talks, and in India it happens generally, not in US. And then there are so many invitations for Bhiksha, and you cannot go to everywhere. So you tell 2-3 people, you make a group, and I'll come to one house, and you bring something, and I'll eat. So when the 3-4 ladies bring 2-3 items, and so it is almost a chapan bhog, Krishna's type. So you have whole dish full of it. And you cannot eat everything all the time. So you taste little bit, something, everything. Because I know they will get hurt. So if I don't eat whatever is in the plate. But something you like it, so you ask, take more. If it happens to be the dish made by Mrs. X, and I don't eat the dish made by Mrs. Y, then say, no, Swamiji, don't eat that, eat this. That is not seva. When you serve somebody, you adjust to what that person likes. You give up your likes and dislikes. Seva is for your growth, not for Guru. Please know this. It is not a law made by Gurus to make themselves comfortable. What can you serve? When he is already Purna, You don't care for yourself. And you maximum you serve the body. पाँव दबाना है, मसाज करना है. He is given up the body then. They have, he is so willing. कल जाना है तो चलो, अभी I am ready to leave this body. I am not the body. You cannot serve him emotionally because he knows emotions are only at the upadhi level, which are mithya. Why should I serve? No, I am serving Guru's cause. Guru has some cause for Loka Kalyana, not for himself. When I built this ashram, I told them, I am not building for myself. I need just one kutia. What do I need? It is, I want to reach out, help the society. And so I am doing it out. It is not for me. Though people say Swamiji is ashram, but I know nothing is mine. It is only 1 or 2 rooms that I use, and I have only 1 bedroom and 1 bed. I don't go to all the 50 rooms and sleep here, this, sleep there. It is not for me. It is for Loka Sangraharte. Similarly, how can you are serving Guru? No, he is not doing anything for himself. Because I have nothing to gain. Name partasti kartavyam trishlokesu kinchana nanavaptam avaptavyam varteva chakam. Nothing to lose or gain. So what do you serve? You cannot serve a Guru. He is obliging you by giving an opportunity to serve Samasti. Whatever Guru does it is for the whole, out of Karuna. If he is a built hospital and he is doing operation and seeks donations, he is not seeking donation for himself. He is not building hospital for himself. It is Lok Sangraharte for generations to come. Seva, please understand, is not for Guru. Seva is for the second stage of personal growth. And that is why in our tradition, those of you know the stories, the king's son, Hair Prince, he may have 3, 4, but the Hair Prince, this fellow is going to be next king, had to go to Gurukulam and had to serve the teacher. Forget about the kings. Even Bhagavan himself, when he incarnated, he did seva. That's how he befriended Sudama. Krishna also did. Rama did. There is a mention in Valmiki Ramayana to serving Vishwamitra. It's a process of life. It's a niyama of gnanam, not gurus. Therefore, he said, holding the twigs. Oh, sir, I surrender. What are you surrendering? This physio-psycho complex is at your service, ready to do anything, ready to change. Give me knowledge. Tadekam vada nishchitya yena shreyoham apnuyam. Arjuna says, please tell me one thing by which I get. Sadhi mam tvam prapanna. Either through words or through gesture. Tad vignanartham sagurumeva vigachet samit panihi shrotriyam brahmanishtam. In the next mantra, the last mantra of this first mandaka, tasmai sa vidvan upasannaya samyak prashant chittaya samanvitaya. What Guru will do, that we will discuss tomorrow. And maybe, should you have questions, I would encourage some question answer session on next weekend. That would be 3rd and 4th of July. So 3rd Saturday, we can have question answer. You can send it to Nipa or Kruti or put it in. She will open the group one day, Friday or something. And then you can put the questions or send it to her directly. Kruti, whatever. Tomorrow I will conclude this section of Mundaka Upanishad. Namaste. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।